What's going on, my peeps? It's your boy Lem with Ascot Hats, Real Talk. We are continuing our conversation with Dave, and we're getting really deep, y'all. Dave opens up about losing his mom to cancer, stepping away from major opportunities to spend more time with his family, taking care of his mental health, and how important it is not to let your trauma trap you, but push you to be the better version of yourself. Enjoy part 2 as we continue our conversation with Dave.
Would you say that, I'm jumping around here, but would you say that the arm wrestling was the catalyst to move to the type of gym that you have now?
Well, certainly part of it. So I'll say this. So this is probably the catalyst, right? Because on my, we didn't have Instagram at that point. This was Facebook, right?
There wasn't like Telegram.
Newly Facebook off MySpace kind of thing, right? Like we're on Facebook, and people were used to seeing a certain amount of content from me. And certain type of content, and then a lot of that starts getting replaced with me posting up stuff about arm wrestling training videos and things like that. And there was a couple comments from people regarding something about why are you posting this arm wrestling stuff, and this isn't going to be good for your business and this, that, and the other. And it was just like, really, like, is this the type of clientele that I have? Like, they're not supportive of, I'm so supportive of what you're doing. I'm pouring my life into your results. And the moment that I'm trying to do something to better myself, which is giving me what I need to spend time with my son, it's giving me an athletic outlet, I'm training, I'm focused, and I'm sharing that on my personal page. And I'm getting people giving me flack about it. So then it was just so then it just kind of started creating a divide, I think, for me. And I was like, well, I want people who share my interest, And I think it was a number of things, but as I started to change the gym over to what it is now, I started adding a lot of equipment. I was buying, I purchased equipment from a few gyms that had closed down, and just kind of gone in and just bought everything that was available. Some of the stuff was, duplication of what I had, so I sold it, or I kept what was the best version of that thing. And then, I spent a lot of time trading. I'd go to Marketplace and buy up as many, plates and dumbbells as I could and stuff like that. And fortunately, some of the projects that I was, still doing too required, there was one program that we did that was like a kettlebell program, right? So it required us having a lot of kettlebells, and we didn't have kettlebells at the time. We had like maybe 5 or 6 kettlebells, but we needed to have like 50 kettlebells, 60 kettlebells or something like that. And so part of that, the agreement of that program was that they were going to purchase that, so, and they're not going to take them all back. So we get to keep them. And then there was another program that we did, which was the training system required a lot of dumbbells. And it required me I was training a group in the morning, and I was training a group in the evening, and dedicated to that program. And so there was a good 20 or so people that were in that class and it was a class that it could only be the people, like I couldn't intermix, I couldn't have somebody that's on this, like they're doing this ab machine, with somebody that's doing like a thigh machine or something like that, because they could all like kind of do the same weight training program. But this was an actual weight training system, right, that we were marketing. So we had to make sure they did all the everything that required by the system. And it required a lot of dumbbells, and heavy dumbbells. It was a progressive program, which was really nice because you didn't really get to see that often. But it was a progressive program, so it's not just about, doing as many reps as possible within a certain period of time, but it's like you're doing, 12 reps with as much weight as you can. So they're going to progress. And so it required the purchase of several thousands of pounds of dumbbells, which was not an expense for me. It was just part of that, program. And so that's, ways that I've benefited. Or if I did a project and the equipment that we were using was not a prototype, because it was a prototype, I had to destroy it. It can't go out into the public. Yeah. It was a prototype, it had to be destroyed after, or they would collect it. But if it was a product that was already physically out in the market, I could sell it. So I could sell it, or I could trade it. I could do whatever I wanted to do with it. Once I was done with it, they didn't want it back. So that was a means for us to be able to utilize that bartering or selling that to buy more of the stuff that we wanted.
How did you get to? I'm jumping ahead here just because I'm excited about it. How did you get to the? Say again.
Can we do the trophies yet? Because those are cool.
That's where I'm going.
Okay.
That's where I'm going. So, how did you get to? And first of all, if you could just give us people watching the show and listening, and the guys, a vision of what kind of gym you have now, because that's not something that I've ever walked into before.
Yeah.
And then, because of that type of gym, the kinds of competitions that now you've been hosting.
So, if you walk into my gym, well, first of all, what part of the change that's happened in my gym is totally it's part of the walking in experience, right? So immediately when you come back to where our gym is, because it's back behind the building, you're going to see rows of machines that are under a patio cover. There's 40 exercise machines under there, mostly like plate loaded machines. The things that you would expect to see in most commercial gyms, and we just have them all squeezed.
It looks more like the old Gold's Gym kind of stuff, because it's a lot of plate loaded machines.
Yeah, but you see most, like at LA Fitness and 24 Hour Fitness, you're going to see most of those things. You don't see quite the selection that we have, because I have every angle.
Like a hammer.
Yeah. I have all of them.
Yeah.
I have all of them. Multiple leg presses, hack squats, all this stuff just, squeezed into that space. So that's the first thing that you see. And then you go through the door, and then there's, some cubbies there. There's a concrete counter with diamond plate, across the front of it, So, that's a look that I like. The walls are black, there's equipment everywhere. And, you come in, and immediately to your left, you're going to see 60 different barbells, all kinds of different barbells, different sizes, different angles, shapes, thicknesses, all that kind of stuff. Every specialty bar that you didn't probably even know existed.
I like specialty bars.
No, but what's the gauge? Not this bar. that bar that you use when you do.
Well, there's different ones.
Yeah,
there's different ones. So we have different thickness of axle bars, and then we have Saxon bars at different sizes as well. And then you go over to the grip section, which encompasses all the arm wrestling specialized handles, plus the group support handles, which are numerous. There's so many different odd objects that you would pinch, like a penny pinch, or a wallet pinch, and big blocks, smaller blocks, round objects, half globes, you name it, rolling handles, every type of.
How much weight would you grab, like fingered, like grabbing
with like a penny pinch?
Yeah.
40, 50 pounds maybe.
Look, Lem's face there.
Well, he just threw me all the way. So I'm not surprised.
45-pound plate.
Yeah.
That's obviously one of the hardest lifts. It's just like the.
Yeah, I would say that's hard.
The fingers.
I would say that's hard. That qualifies as hard.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Yeah,
straight.
Yeah.
Maybe like a double black diamond for skiing. Yeah.
That's a quadruple black. Damn. Yeah. So, and you've got cages there, and then
there's power. There's full power racks. You can
get outside.
Squat, bench, or deadlift on both sides.
It is down in San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's dumbbells up to 150 pounds. Cables, cable equipment. I've got the strict curl rack where you put your back up against the wall, do strict curls and power curls on it. Every type of bench, adjustable or fixed angles, decline, incline, various 90 degrees, all that. Multiple preacher curls, not just one preacher curl bench. We have 3. Not just one dip or dip attachment. We have multiple, dip bars and dip attachments.
Dave, if you don't mind, tell them what your one rep is on a barbell curl.
Well, I mean, the most I've ever done on a barbell curl is roughly around 300. But yeah.
So that means he could barbell curl you.
No, both of them.
All 3 of us.
Both.
So, but
Barbell curl 300, bro.
300.
But it's a power curl. It's like a lot of.
I
like,
don't care what you call it.
Explosions.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working my way back to that right now.
I'll do 5.
I'm really close. The last competition, I did 270 easily, and then went for 295, and I almost got it, but I was unable to hold it at the top. But I'll have that probably this
That's
year.
more than some people's bench press.
Yeah. Well, bench press, I want to know. What is your...
I've never been a really great bencher. My best bench was 410. Right, so for someone
that's not great. I think it's phenomenal.
for someone my size, or for someone with the other strength accomplishments that I have, you'd probably expect 550 or so.
What about your deadlift?
My best ever deadlift was 765 off the floor. With a stiff bar when I was 19 years old. That was the best ever, and I've sustained some back injuries after that have made it more difficult for me to pull that much. But since then, I pulled 800 on a very long bendy bar off the floor, and then I've pulled various heights from 15 inches on up to the highest height that I pull at is 21 inches, and that's on an axle bar. It's called the Viking deadlift, and I pull currently 1,014 on that.
Oh, is this the one we were talking about using the wheels?
Yes,
for?
the wheels. Yeah, and so the open world record for that is 1,022, I believe.
And
So
you pulled 1,000 what?
1,014. My second time ever pulling it. The first time I ever pulled it, I pulled 947, which was 7 pounds over the Masters world record.
Why do you like that experience? Because that is a very unique experience.
Yeah.
Well, to me, I feel like, I don't know.
And the training that
There's things that in my over the course of my life that I think I have in the construct of designing what it is to be a man and what this masculine energy means. I have
just like the environment.
I've discerned these are just certain things, like being strong and making yourself strong and proving, not to anyone else, but proving to myself that I can do
Yes.
Right here.
Yeah.
I love
Absolutely.
that.
To yourself.
You're about to get canceled.
Man. To yourself, baby.
Proving to yourself.
Yes.
That's
Because
what
first
it's
and
about.
foremost,
That's important.
That's it.
Always
Yeah.
you.
That's it right there.
And there were certainly a lot of male bravado things that in my earlier life that I recognized were not positive. I had a lot of girlfriends, and that was a thing for many years in my life before meeting my wife. That having multiple girlfriends, even at the same time, like having multiple girlfriends, it was like something that I just thought was it's what men do.
That means you're cool.
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm more manly because of this.
Yeah. Right.
And the fighting, all of those things. And I realized that those things weren't positive behaviors. I think what defines a behavior as good or bad is when it no longer serves your best interests, and you start realizing that it either is harmful or its potential for being harmful.
Did you figure this out, or was someone guiding you, saying, this is not a healthy journey?
No, I think it was more internal. But I mean, honestly, like if I want to, I don't know, right? Like, was there someone? Yeah, I'm sure there was people that were saying I know there was people that are probably saying like, you shouldn't be doing this. My mom, for one, was like, you know, you shouldn't be fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just more of like, you don't understand because, you know, you're a woman, right? Like,
Right.
You understand this is what men do.
Mhm.
Like men fight, men don't step down.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it was kind of,
Destructive.
it was kind of like, you know, she was not stepping down, right? Like I saw, like you weren't, like if a man was like in your face telling you to do something, like you weren't stepping down,
That's my mother.
right? So like,
Is she old?
yeah,
Respect your mama.
I do, but she my mother like in the mid-80s, and she like,
your mother.
bring it on. I was like, dude, you got a cane. She's like, so?
She's not gonna play around. I got you.
so she's, you know, she's gonna fight.
Yeah.
You know, so it just seems like, you know, you're telling me that that I shouldn't fight. But I think it was a proud moment for me, you know, when, you know, later on in life, I did have the restraint. I did have the ability to, you know, turn the other cheek and not engage and things, especially when I had the confidence of knowing just what I could do to that person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I could, you know, there was a situation once where I just actually let the person hit me, you know, and I stood there as they hit me. And I just knew that it was like, okay, well, I'm not going to continue to let them hit me.
Right.
But right now they're realizing that was a mistake.
Yeah.
And I'm okay.
Was it the urine on the pants after they hit you?
No, not a mistake for me.
No, you're right.
I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when they put
Oh,
themselves.
shit, that was a bad idea.
No.
It was that.
What was I doing?
It was that practice of restraint.
Right.
I mean, it was quite a moment for me personally, because like I actually, like after that incident, I called my mom up and I told her, I'm like, Mom, you're never gonna believe what happened. Like this guy assaulted me, you know, at my place of work, at my business, at our business. He worked there too. So at a gym. And I did nothing in return. Like I didn't fight him back. You know? And then as a result, he was banned from the facility.
Yeah.
You know, and so the problem was solved essentially. But, you know, a younger version of myself would have
Escalated the situation. Yeah.
would have damn near killed him.
Yeah.
Right? Like I would have gone to a point, like he didn't know. Like he didn't know what I was capable of.
Yeah.
Right? Like most people just
just don't know.
They don't know that.
Yeah.
Right? Like they think, especially too, like I hear all the time people talk about how like, you know, well, a big guy, he's just big and strong, like he can't fight. Well, do you know his history? You know where he's been?
Right.
Do you know what he's done?
Do you know the trauma?
Yeah.
Right.
With the flashbacks?
Or do you know what he's capable of?
Exactly.
Right.
Vice versa too.
Yeah.
You see a smaller guy and you think, oh, I just whoop his ass.
Yeah.
You do not know.
But I read something that said maturity is knowing when you have the weapons to destroy someone, but you don't.
Yeah.
That's right. Control.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Self-control.
And that's what that was for me.
Yeah.
Because I realized that it's like, oh, you know, like I'm capable of this, but I'm not.
Right.
I'm not going to ask.
It's not worth it.
Because I would lose everything.
Yeah.
I would lose that place that I wanted to
Work
be
so
at,
hard.
and I worked so hard at. And I had my clients, and
That you saw at 17.
yeah,
You didn't want to lose that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wisdom.
Yes.
yeah.
That's wisdom.
So Dave, I gotta ask you a question.
Yeah.
How you gonna get this bastard in the show?
You know what?
Because you know what?
I'm straight editing you out of this episode.
He already talked about this. He doesn't force people into the
Yeah, I'm not going
They
to
have-
get him.
Oh,
Okay, you're not gonna get him.
I'm
That's
going to
right.
provide him the tools.
That's
for
right.
him to do
I'm gonna
that.
do it.
He has.
But how are we gonna hold him accountable?
Yeah.
Because
Stop giving me pie.
stop giving him wings with the sauce.
That's with
Well,
the sauce.
swings without the sauce on
Without
the
the sauce on
side.
the side. On the side.
Dry
How do we get back into the
Actually,
shit
that's
that
actually
we-
a really good question.
Yeah.
Because aside from trying to direct that shit to me, it applies to lots of people.
Yeah.
You can give them all the tools.
Yeah.
You can tell them it. Actually, you can sit across the table from somebody that you know been there, done that, and they still won't do it.
Right.
I ain't talking about me.
But you have to ask the question. I mean, it goes back to what the reason and purpose for. I mean, like, I can't create motivation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have it.
Yes.
It has to come.
It's
from
intrinsic.
you, right? but motivation, if anything, like if we use an analogy, the flame that keeps the fuel going, right? That keeps the burning the fuel, right? Motivation is just simply a spark.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's just something that's going to ignite the flame. But the flame, in order to keep it going, and that's discipline. But you need purpose to fuel your discipline.
Yeah.
And if you don't know your purpose, you don't know your reason why, I can't create that for you.
Yeah.
Right? But I can give you the tools, and I can walk you through the process, and I can help you, to consider things that may be because of your lack of experience in that area. I can help you to navigate that better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I can give you the internet likes to call them hacks, right? The fitness hacks and nutrition hacks and things like that. But it's just like it's just resources, right?
Well,
Resources
I hear it as across subject matters. It isn't only physical; it's mentorship. That's really what you're doing there.
Yeah.
Is you're providing guidance, showing them the path, showing them the doors.
Yeah.
They got to turn the knob. They got to walk. They got to walk the trail. It's their journey.
Well, it's a unique difference between just simply like providing a program and actually coaching somebody.
Yeah.
Right. Because like I have so many programs, and I'm not big on pushing the programs. I mean, I'd certainly love it if people would come and buy all the programs that we have, and they were self-initiating and self-actualizing, and they could do all of this on their own. But the reality is that most people are just not simply going to know where to start.
Yes.
So you do have to label these programs beginner this or whatever, and maybe that's going to at least kind of kick off something. But if somebody is engaged in the principally in like you said, that mentorship, like they say, like I'm under this person's care, and that's what it means to like have a client. It's like that client is like somebody that's under your care. I wouldn't consider everybody necessarily a client. I have a lot of members, but I don't have a lot of people that have asked to actually be under my care, right? But even though they haven't asked, I still have a concern for them. I'm going to look out for those members because on some level, I guess, as a customer, they're still somewhat of a client, right? I'm going to spot them when they need it. I'm going to, ask them if, how their training's going, how their nutrition's going. I'm not going to pry too much, unless they want to tell me more. But for the most part, I'm going to be there to guide and help people.
Well, because they've made that commitment to, seek out your gym and source it as a means to make themselves better.
Right. My gym, I hear things, for a lot of people love my gym, and then a lot of people maybe there's things that they certainly admire about it, but they're very intimidated by it.
Yeah.
Or they're intimidated by me.
It's an intimidating place. It is.
But to say that is it's not. There's nothing about the energy in our gym that would make it intimidating.
No.
But it is. If anything, I think what the gym says is it's time to get real. It's time to be serious.
Yes.
Right?
And that's intimidating.
And that's maybe intimidating for people because it's like saying, like, when you walk in there, it's like, I got to put in work. I got to do this.
But you have to put in the work if you want to get results. I mean, that's,
right. So I would take it a step further. So if I walk into a CrossFit gym, or I walk into one of the big chain gyms, or I walk into a studio gym, right? Because they're all kind of different. Studio gyms like yoga, spin, whatever it is, right? CrossFit, we know what that is, right? Bunch of cages, bunch of barbells, a lot of plyo, a lot of HIIT, and that kind of stuff. Then you walk into the commercial gyms, and then just an array of tools that are there. What's unique about his is you walk in there, and there's freaking Atlas balls sitting there. When have you ever walked into a gym
Never.
and seen an
up to
Atlas ball?
500 pounds.
500 pounds.
Yeah.
They don't have that at LA Fitness.
The thing
And I
is,
go there every day.
I have two.
Don't lie.
Okay, 5 days a week. Shut up.
I have two of these Atlas stones. And
is it hot yoga?
I actually feel like, so the unique thing about these Atlas stones, allow me to nerd out a little bit on this, but
Please.
what makes these Atlas stones so difficult is not even the fact that they're 500 pounds, which obviously, 500 pounds does make them difficult.
That sounds difficult to me.
But their diameter, they're very large balls, right? So they're like.
You are so immature. You are so immature.
Already done.
That sounds bad.
That's
He said big balls was a problem.
Like, I never heard
What do you want me to do? Why would keep a straight face?
I'm sorry, Dave. He's so immature. Yeah, drink some water.
Mine's still 12 years old. Well, he knew when he was asking
Oh,
about
come on. Because
This
you
is
know what I'm just
no,
like.
no. Can I have something to drink, please? No, I'm not toasting to that. I will never toast the balls. I don't-
Y'all were thinking it. I know you were.
Dave, are you blushing?
Probably.
You're all going, that's not a problem.
Oh my God.
That's why he brought up the Alice balls to begin with.
Yeah. With so much energy.
Mike knew what he was doing.
I'm a victim.
It was a setup
I'm
question.
a victim.
I feel set up.
I have no idea what happened.
You mistreated Dave.
Well, I don't usually call them balls. I call them stones.
Yeah.
So then it's like I'm using his.
I still would have done it. I still would have gone there.
Either way, it's the terrible joke.
All right, let's talk about some big balls.
All right.
So obviously significant diameter. So I think I asked you this when I came to the gym that one time because I was so impressed. Well, you watch strongman competitions, you watch all those crazy things that they do. So I'd never been in a gym. I'm still out of breath from that joke. Been in the gym where I saw like you have them stacked up there, ready to be picked up and
Well,
lifted.
they're not the easiest thing to just sort of like put away. Right?
There's a
So
whole technique to it, right?
right. I'm just saying in storing them, they're not the easiest to just kind of like, stick over in the corner or whatever. And we have so many of them, but they're very out there. You can see them, but the number of members of our gym that actually use those stones it's very few.
Mhm.
Like it's not, the stones aren't, I'd say the stones are definitely an attraction, right? It's something that, definitely draws people in and makes the facility a destination place because no one has the collection that we have of stones.
Mhm.
And you have
right?
the giant logs. Or
Right.
simulated logs.
Right, we have logs. A lot of strongman gyms, not a lot of gyms, but a lot of strongman gyms would have similar logs that we have. There's nothing really that stands out about those.
The purpose of that is
the log.
yeah.
Oh, you've never had
It
to.
makes you strong.
So they have. Well,
You've never had
purpose.
to endure a run with a log with 12 people on it.
No, this is different.
Oh, this is way different.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. This isn't a 5-mile run with a log on your shoulder.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's just
This is lifting. This is a single individual lifting a log overhead.
Okay. Oh,
And the
okay.
log has handles, built
Oh,
within
okay.
within the log.
There's handles on this log. When I was doing this, it was like a
Hasn't never
telephone.
seen World's Strongest Man competition?
No.
These are strongman.
The hell do you do with your time?
Read books.
Why do you read?
Not movies. We established he
He
doesn't.
can't
Not
watch
movies. No,
either.
no.
I watch White Chicks.
That's one film.
Not.
One film.
You've
I
never
could
seen.
understand if you watch that, like, why you don't watch more movies.
He's never seen Monty
Pretty bad.
Python. This gentleman's from London, from England,
He's
and
not-
has not
he's
seen
not
Monty
American, In
Python.
case you're wondering. He's not American.
No.
You know what I feel about that?
I knew it. That's what was going.
So back to the logs.
Back
We
to
have
the
logs,
log.
farmers' handles, yokes, frames. I don't know if just saying these things. If you
I'm
know
actually
what-
not familiar. Which one's the
So a yoke is, imagine like instead of lifting in a squat rack, you're taking the squat rack with you, right? Like
Copy
you're
that.
lifting
Okay.
the squat rack and running.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Zodiac boats too.
No Zodiac boats.
What the hell's a Zodiac boat?
But Viking
Those
ships.
are the rubber-
We would lift and pull those, I'm sure.
Vikings.
No, recently there was a strongman competition where they had a replica of like a Viking ship, and it was pulled. It was quite fun. It was
So-
cool to see that.
So you host. So
We
you
do.
finally got here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
finally,
so-
after all this time.
We host events. Less this year. Let me start out by saying my objective last year was to put on 20 strength sport competitions.
Wow.
We ended up doing 26 events, and it was
You got one coming up.
We do have one coming up.
What is it? Yep, you got
April 20th. We have a strongman competition. We'll have almost 70 athletes at this.
Wow.
This one here.
We're going to that.
We're
We're going to check that out.
Okay, what time?
Don't worry about
It starts at 11 a.m. Goes all day. Yeah.
Okay. I have a reggae brunch.
But we have 5 events.
A reggae run.
We have 5 events for that. So there'll be stones. There'll be heavy sandbags to shoulder for reps. So the athletes are lifting a very heavy. This isn't like your sandbags with handles on it. This is a very heavy sandbag.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the athletes have been doing 200 to 350 pound sandbags. Putting them on their shoulder, then dropping it, picking it up, putting it on their shoulder as many times as they can within 60 seconds. And then they have, for time, they're loading 4 stones onto a platform. There's going to be a deadlift medley. It's a variety of deadlifts. So it's a stiff straight bar deadlift, a trap bar deadlift, and then an 18-inch deadlift, elevated deadlift that has attachments to it that are remnants of a lift in the past called the silver dollar deadlift. And so this was a deadlift that was done at one of the world's strongest men events, where it was a barbell attached to these implements that were loaded with silver dollars, right? And they kept adding silver dollars to increase the weight.
Yeah.
And so each athlete will have a set weight for their class, and then they're to do as many reps as they can. This is the silver dollar deadlift is one of the deadlifts that I'm training right now in an attempt to eventually break the world record. I got quite a ways to go still. I'm pulling 914 on that right now, but I need to be pulling in the 12s in order to, I don't know the exact record, but it's.
How do you manage, because I know you had a pretty bad injury.
I had some significant injuries to my back, mini bulge disc, torn muscle in my back, and but that was
because of lifting?
No, it was during military training.
Oh, no, but you tore, what was it, your tri?
Oh, recently, 2 years ago, I tore my tricep off.
Just came right off.
Reattached that. I'm not 100% yet, but I'm doing a lot.
And you talk about the military training. So what branch were you in?
I was in the Navy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
What'd you do in the Navy?
My job in the Navy was medic.
Okay.
But hospital corpsman is
so you were a corpsman?
The rate that they
run around with the Marines all day long?
I didn't do a lot with the Marines. I was mostly on the clinical side. Right out of corps school, I was attached to a branch medical clinic where I rotated through the clinic and did a lot of things in the clinic, mostly acute care at that command. And then I went to Navy SEAL training. I ended up getting hurt there. The hope was that I was going to be able to heal from those injuries and come back. Unfortunately, some of those injuries and the condition that I developed while going through training, it's a condition called exertional compartment syndrome. So my legs swell when I run, and it's very dangerous for me to run for long periods of time because an infection happens in my legs, and then I could lose my legs or So that type of training is just kind of out.
Okay.
So I mean, there was no love for that training. I mean, as much as I love training, my love is mostly towards lifting heavy things, right? Not cardio. I can't stand, I never had a love for swimming.
Lifting the Zodiac and then running with it?
Yeah, no, I never had a love for any of that. It was more of just a means of me, like like in that same sort of hierarchy of like things that you do in order to prove that you're, more of a man than anybody else kind of thing. And so, I certainly wanted that for myself. I wanted not necessarily the job of being a SEAL so much as I wanted to make it through the SEAL training, right? That was the reason that I was going through it. And that was the reason I was willing to go back and put myself through it. Unfortunately, that wasn't in the cards. And once they decided that wasn't what I was going to be doing, I decided I was getting out. So, and then my training then turned back towards strength training again, which was something I did before I went in the Navy. I, competed in powerlifting and bodybuilding before I went in the Navy. So it was more of like, okay, well, I'm going to get back to that, as soon as I could navigate through those injuries. But it took me many, many years before I could actually deadlift off the floor. And even to this day, like, that's something that I have to navigate that particular range of motion with a great deal of care. So, so that I don't exacerbate that area.
Yes. Dave, what does lifting do for you? Does it center you? Does it calm you? Does it cause your creativity to go off the charts?
Well, I mean, I think it does all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I often say, like, you know, if I'm in a good mood, I go lift. If I'm in a bad mood, I go lift.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you know, there's a different experience for me to get out of lifting based on what I need. So I didn't realize this for many years, or maybe I had some idea that this was a part of my reality. But I've more recently been diagnosed with bipolar, being bipolar, and you know, I've made it this far without being medicated, that I've chosen to continue on without being medicated. And then, you know, it's a tough thing to navigate at times, but I've been able to, you know, have a whole different perspective as to how I deal with both the depressive and manic states now. So I've never been one who, when I was depressed, I would stay in bed. And I think that was probably due to the example that I saw in my mom. My mom was, you know, fighting depression all the time. And, you know, just because, you know, she was depressed, it didn't stop her from committing and doing her responsibilities and maintaining her commitment to me and all that. So, you know, you just get up and you get going and you do what you're supposed to do. And,
love that.
Just navigate that space, just pivot as much as you can. And but what I noticed a lot about being in that depressive state was that I would be more hyper focused during that state. I'd be more hyper focused on the sad things that happen in my life, right? So it's just like your mind wants to have an explanation for why you feel the way that you do. So then it's like, okay, I recognize that I'm sad, and it's like immediately you want to go like, well, why am I sad? Well, I'm sad because, you know, my mom passed. I'm sad because I lost my brother. I'm sad because of, you know,
so many,
whatever, like, you know, all these things. And it's like, well, 2 days ago, I wasn't, you know, thinking about these things. Or if I did think about them, I didn't think about them in the same way. I could think about my mom, and when it wasn't sad. You know, but then now it's really sad. And it's like, well, I learned that I can't trust these things as triggers because it's more of after the fact. It's like something chemically is happening that puts me in a depressive state. And I can't stop that from happening unless I want to take medication for it. And, but I don't, because I'm more concerned about, you know, what that'll do for the other parts of how I identify who I am.
But it seems like you manage it with the lifting.
I definitely manage it with lifting, I think, is a large part of it. To the extent that, like, things feel very different when I'm in a depressive state versus when I'm not. Right? So, like, when I'm in a depressive state, like, everything in my body feels heavier. The reps feel heavier. The pain in the muscles is more intense. Like, every rep just feels almost, you know, pretty exhausting until it doesn't, right? So it's like, as I'm moving through it, there is a response, right? And so, like, it does help me to feel better.
Well, like we were talking about at the beginning, it's that chemical release that you get from inside the body.
Exactly. That's very real.
Exactly. The body bonded with the psychology.
That's
of the
very
mind.
real. And unfortunately too, there's been moments where that state and doing the training has even become somewhat destructive too, because you shift from that depressive state and then you train and you do this and you become obsessed with something and you become excessive with something. And then, you know, you're training 3-4 hours and, you know, then you're going to the ER because, you know, you've done too much. Right. So, that's certainly part of my reality too, and something I have to be careful of. But, you know, it's like, recognizing that, having that diagnosis is just, you know, and I don't know really to make of that diagnosis. Like, you know, is it on a spectrum? Is it, you know, obviously some people are in a manic state and they're borderline schizophrenic, you know, they're not themselves. I've never been in that place. Everything that I've done in a manic state has always been thought of as highly productive. Right. So if you're not sleeping and you're just working around the clock and you're accomplishing things and doing things, no one is telling you that you shouldn't be doing those things because all the people that are around you are people essentially that you're doing these things for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or
So they're not going to tell you stop working hard for me.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in the military, like, and you're doing this, like it's just like, you know, attaboy, good job, you know, keep it up.
Well, you know, I think no matter who's watching, I think this is important for men in particular. Your vulnerability, your transparency, just to share how you're managing your depression, your anxiety, and going through these moments. Because I remember, I don't want to shift any focus to me, but I do remember I was dealing with depression. And a friend of mine, I'll never forget him for this. He came to my house. He opened up the door. Somehow I left the door unlocked. He came in and he said, "Get your ass out the bed and stop sleeping your life away. It's going to get better." And I never, ever forgot that. And matter of fact, I'm going to call him after this just to say thank you again. So you sharing this is going to help so many men, because men don't share this.
No.
We hold things in, then we take it out on our wives, we take it out on children, take it on work. But we have to share this so that we can be whole within ourselves. Yeah. And I just want to say, Dave, thank you for that.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, man. Thank
you for that.
I would concur with that, because I do think, you know, perception is reality, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the perception, I think, for a lot of men is that showing, and I'm going to throw myself in there sometimes, vulnerability, being transparent, being non-obtuse, and just putting yourself out there is not only scary, but somehow connotative to not being strong, not having, not being a guy, right? And to have a representation of somebody who is willing to be that and look like he is and do the things that he does. Yeah. Flies in the face of that picture, right? Yeah. So I think that aesthetic and perception can really be trumped when people hear you say things like that. And I think that's a powerful thing. I gotta say for myself,
if it works to help other people,
I think it will, man.
It will.
I think it will.
Because I'm gonna share the hell out of this.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. Yeah. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Yeah. Here's a guy who could like literally toss you across the room, and he's willing to sit here and be honest about the things that he's dealing with on the inside. Has nothing to do with his physical prowess or capability. Yeah. Quite frankly, it's the opposite. You use this as a way to manage that, you know, and that's where you find your equilibrium.
It's the only way that I really know. I wouldn't imagine. So when I met with the VA about the possibility of medication to manage the bipolar, the option that they gave me was just, you know, such an extreme, aggressive drug that I knew was going to, you know, alter my perception of things, and I just was not willing to really do that.
Yeah, for you,
you know, and I'm not against counseling by any means. I think I'm for counseling, but I'm against any counseling that harbors like the focus or the focus is on the past, right? And so I didn't want to engage in counseling that was mostly going to be about focusing on these past traumas and trying to make sense of them or whatever. It's like, I don't need that. Like I just, I need to just be able to move forward. Yeah. You know, like when I lost my mom, you know, that was very unexpected. I lost my mom to cancer. It's over a short 4-month period. And like,
when was that?
This was almost 4 years ago now.
Still fresh.
Yeah. And it changed me in ways that I can't even fully explain, but it changed my perception. It changed how I saw myself in the world because, and, you know, and I feel the shift and the change coming back. I feel like I'm starting to feel more of myself and feel more grounded and more accepting of the people that I know and love in my life now. And, you know, that it's just like my whole world is not just my mom, right? Like, but the hard part about losing someone who you've identified your whole life as the only person
Mhm.
that really, truly loves you unconditionally.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
And to lose that person, it's just
Heartbreaking.
It redefines how you, like, everything tastes different. Like,
Mhm.
everything is just different.
It's for sure a fork in the road.
Yeah.
And so, coming out of that, and and then it was just loss after loss after loss. I just experienced, so many people during those few years.
So what I mean, or not to try and plug, I'm trying to make a point. Our production company is called Cat's Grit.
Mm-hmm.
It's about grit, right? And then we have our show Ascot Hats, and it's about real talk.
He's showing grit and real talk.
You feel me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And what I find amazing is that you take all these potential valleys, potential severe roadblocks, and you seem compelled not only to produce for yourself first and foremost, but then you chase all these other people, all your members, all your members, all your clients, all the people that you mentor. And am I wrong in saying that when you see that impact in them and see you affect them to produce, it almost
I think
leverages you?
I think it's the only way for me to find any purpose behind the pain, right? Like, if you focus on the pain, if you focus on the trauma, if you focus on the thing that has happened to you, and you make it about you, it's real easy to get sticky in that, right? To stay there, right? And I don't want to make it about me. I want to make it about, us. I want to make it about, like, the reality is that it's like, there's nothing that's happened to me that's unique to me that hasn't happened to somebody else. When I met with the VA, the counselor was, she was kind of in awe of, like, the number of traumas that I've experienced and the types of traumas that I experienced. And, and I was shocked by that, because I was like, how's that even possible? Like, you talk to so many people, like, how is that even possible? And I just was like, not proud of that, but was, there's got to be something there that makes it, not that I'm special, but it makes me more maybe capable of helping people.
I agree with you.
Yeah. It's just like, not to compare anything, but just to basically say, well, if I can best utilize these experiences that I've been through to be even that much more empathetic and understanding, or come up with solutions that other people just aren't seeing, right? Because most of the time, like, people ask me, like, what should I do in this situation? And it's like, I have ideas, but the reality is that no one knows your life better than you do, right? So, like, I can throw some ideas to you, but you're going to be the one that knows how to, see whether that idea is even going to work or not, right? So I'm not going to assume that, that I'm the best coach for you. I'm going to facilitate, and you're going to be the best coach for you. Like, you're going to be the one that's actually going to be able to instrumentally, like, grab and put those pieces together.
Yeah, but you do have an effect.
Yeah.
I definitely have an effect. I mean, that's my...
In the absence of the effect, you won't get the same result. So you can't...
Or just going to take longer.
It might not happen at all.
Maybe. But I think that for the most part, it's just going to take a lot longer. Because if your intention is there, right?
I mean, there are many, many people in the world that have an inordinate amount of potential. But given circumstances and just a lack of
opportunities available to them,
that, or just innate lack of grit,
drive,
perseverance, drive, they don't do anything with it.
I would agree with that, because if I look at my past, specifically regarding competition, I know you guys wanted to talk more about the competition stuff. But
Well, the trophies.
the trophies, yeah.
We might have to get to that another time.
But the competition side of things, it's, I was never training for the intention of doing a competition, right? Like even when I aspired to be a bodybuilder, it wasn't like I was, that started at such a young age that wasn't like, I didn't know anything about the Olympia. I didn't know anything about being the best bodybuilder in the world. It was like I had a mindset and a vision of what it was that I wanted to be and what I wanted to build, and that was more important than anything else, right? And so it was not until someone else introduced the idea of competition that I actually considered it, or really considered it, right? It might something I was kind of like, oh, I heard there's competitions. Oh, okay. But then when like somebody's saying like, oh my gosh, you should do this competition that's coming up, I'm like, really? I should? Oh, okay. And it was that way with bodybuilding. It was that way with powerlifting. It was that way with arm wrestling. It was that way with, really everything that I did was there was always somebody that kind of like stepped in to say like, you should be doing this. And I don't know, one day I just kind of like woke up and thought like, I'm going to be that person, right? I want to be that person that pushes people to kind of do something because I value the competition and not so much from a competitive standpoint as much as a participating
I think it brings out sometimes the best of someone.
Well,
when they're pushed against.
It does.
It
does. I mean, there's so many nuances to it, but I think like just participating in things, right? Just being a part of something, for me, so much of training was something that I did myself. It was something that I didn't really need to do it with anyone else. There were so many years where I never had a training partner. And then there was just small little times with my life that I'd have a training partner.
I can't train with someone else.
I mean, if you can, it's amazing. Right. But it takes some time to find the right partner and create the right relationship where you can do that.
See, Mike is going to go like, Michael. They're going to walk over.
And that's the conversation. The whole
That's the whole cover.
Yeah.
I don't want to train with you.
They won't even know who he is, just Michael. That's it.
Jumping around, because I know this guy's just chomping at the bit.
Yeah, so the competition.
What made you decide on the trophies that you use?
Well, okay, so
first tell us what the trophies are.
So the trophies are swords, helmets, shields,
Sporting helmets,
axes, hammers,
you
things
show
like
off.
that.
You got things like this,
No.
Yeah.
No, you don't have one of those. You have a broadsword.
We have sword. We don't
Yeah,
have
rapiers.
we don't have something
That's a little delicate.
This is.
That don't look
That's
delicate to me.
that's more of a fancy type of sword.
This is, yeah.
No, that one I did see.
I'm not opposed to having something like that as a.
No, man.
This looks like it'll have big balls attached.
That's not Excalibur. What kind of? No, we're looking for Excalibur. That looks like.
No, Excalibur was a broadsword, was it not?
Of course it was.
Yeah.
That is not a broadsword.
No, this is a rapier.
No. Shush. Go back to the trophies.
You be careful.
Go back. Let's go.
My interest in swords probably started when I started my collection. I was about 12
It's not how you
years old
present
when I started collecting swords. I would find them at garage sales mostly, and there was a few antique shops that I was able to find some swords. And at some point, I unloaded them. I got rid of them, because like being in the military,
Sure. Carrying around.
it was like the same thing with my trophies. I had so many trophies, teenage trophies. I had to get rid of most of them if they weren't like, there weren't that many that were small. Most of them were like, human size.
Yeah.
And so like you keep the tops of them and that's about it. But with the swords, it was like, this isn't something I can keep. And I don't know. So that was probably something I just kind of thought was cool. And I'd seen maybe a few bodybuilding competitions where they gave away swords. And I was like, why don't they give away swords in all competitions, So I did a little search and found myself, on Amazon looking at like really cool helmets and stuff and swords. And so I just started ordering them and giving them out as the the overall prizes for
I love
Because just a bigger impact as opposed to just
He's got Mandalorian helmets.
Yeah, the Mandalorian helmet.
Mando helmets too.
Yeah, well, the Mandalorian helmet is because we have a Star Wars event.
This is the way.
Every May 4th.
Lem, say it.
This is the way.
Lem.
May the 4th be.
No, this is the way.
What?
He doesn't know the Mandalorian thing.
He hasn't watched the movie
Yeah.
or the films.
No.
But,
It's embarrassing me.
Every May 4th we do a trap bar. And we call it, we do the trap bar because of it's a trap. It's a trap bar.
I like that.
Yes.
It's a trap.
Yes, Admiral Akbar.
Admiral Akbar. And so Admiral Akbar is the logo, and he's like deadlifting a trap bar.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. And so
Did you see that new lightsaber that retracts?
No.
Disney came out with a lightsaber.
Oh, yes. So they filed a patent for it 3 years ago. And it's quite fascinating how it works. So it's actually
But it's not production.
No, they'll never sell it for production. But what they do is it's basically two half cylinders that are coiled together and they unfold.
Oh, and then they retract.
Uh-huh.
But they're not going to produce it?
No, they wouldn't. Well, because it's very fragile. So if you were to actually contact another saber with it, they would just fold and collapse into
But just
themselves.
don't do that.
Yeah, but it's, you sell that to a kid, what's the first thing they're going to do?
Yeah.
Go on YouTube and just do retracting lightsaber,
Mm-hmm.
like Disney, and you'll see it.
Mhm.
It's freaking cool.
I'm gonna do that. I need to see what the hell this is.
It looks like Luke Skywalker's about to get.
Lem, they're not light swords. They're
I've
lightsabers.
watched Star Wars movies so long
I'll
ago.
probably ask either of my sons about it because they probably already.
Dude, they already know.
Mhm.
They already know.
already seen it.
So
Absolutely already know.
I
Thank you for
think
cutting
we
me off.
should.
Just what?
But you know what? No.
Do you need a
seriously.
sword?
No, this is
What
not
a
gonna work.
broadsword.
No.
What is that? I'm gonna write it. I don't know.
Well, this is a rapier.
Dave,
It looks like a spear.
Yeah.
It's like a
to wrap us up, to close this out.
Why? You want to stop talking?
Yeah.
That's a miracle.
exactly.
I've
No.
never seen that before.
No, because I think this was just so awesome.
You look so pretty in your blouse.
Thank you so much. Why you gotta call it a blouse though? You so
I didn't call it a
when he
blouse.
starts training for real.
It's just a French term for what it is. It's just you could say a shirt. It's
No,
a
no.
blouse.
No, I had more.
It's a
behind
French
that.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
so I'm gonna disarm you right
Oh,
now.
so now you're gonna keep talking?
The blouse
Yeah, and
match,
then I'm gonna get to my original point.
the blouse matches the sock.
Shit. So I go to the university club where we're all members.
Okay.
Go to university. And this bastard is sitting to the right. There's a dentist that's on the other side of the
Respect
bar.
the elders.
Shut up. And so I walk in, I say, hey, Mike, what's going on, whatever. And the dentist goes, oh my gosh, you have on a beautiful blouse.
I about shit myself.
And I stare at her.
Straight up almost
And
shit
I
myself.
say, and she goes, oh, I'm sorry, men don't call it blouses. You call it
You
shirt.
do
I
not
said, exactly.
understand what you do.
And then I said to her, you have no idea the trauma and the pain that you have caused me.
He's like,
I said, because
he's wearing
this
a
jerk,
blouse.
I'm pointing to Mike, I said, he's going to never, ever.
And she just looks like, oh, I'm sorry, is it not a blouse? I'm like, no, it is.
No,
It is a blouse.
I said, this is going to be a
But
running
I
joke
appreciate you saying it.
until I get into a box and go 6 feet.
You could be. You could just choose to be secure about it all.
I was trying to be.
He's not.
With a blouse.
Because
And then he showed up 2 weeks later with a purse.
I got a purse right here.
There you go. Man bag.
No, that is not.
The man bag.
That's not the purse he showed up
The
with.
man- First of all, I feel that.
It's that buckle.
Anyway, Dave, as we bring this to a
His wasn't
close,
so direct as his,
no, mine was strapped over, but anyway, I'm gonna get you.
Listen, you brought
You'll wear it, and no one will insult you.
I have a very tactical one.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
That's
By
called
5'11".
a backpack
It's,
or a breakout bag.
it goes.
And break it back, yeah.
yeah,
It has the compartment to where I can
yeah.
pull
That's-
out my.
Exactly.
Yeah.
pull
I have a lot of
That's
stuff.
not like soft, shiny leather with gold
It
buttons.
was brand new.
Was it bedazzled?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it didn't.
He had a class.
It was Cartier.
It was a zipper. It's a
But it matched
I
his
don't-
blouse
I don't
perfectly.
judge. Whatever.
I do.
Whatever you want to wear.
Okay, delicate. Go.
Dave.
My shirt. Hey, my shirt matches my sock.
It definitely, yes.
Dave, you could have walked in here with a purse with that. I ain't gonna say shit. To you.
We was talking
I would talk
trash.
shit to him.
We was
all day
talking
long.
trash after you left. After you left.
I'm gonna record you if you do.
So Dave, you've gone through so much, accomplished so much. So what would you say? Help us close it out. What would you say to that 12-year-old Dave and possibly that 12-year-old person that might watch this? Or that 21-year-old person? What would you tell him?
That's deep, brother.
You know, live each day for the experiences.
That's what life's about.
Live each day for the experiences. I mean, just because whatever you're going through right now isn't permanent. Whether it's really good, whatever you're going through right now could be really, really good. And if it is, really appreciate it. And appreciate those people that are part of it.
Yeah.
But it's not permanent. None of it is. Right? There's no permanency in what we're doing right now. But we only have right now. Because it's the only thing that we know we have.
Yeah.
It's a
Right?
short run.
Tomorrow's not a promise.
Yeah.
It's no guarantee. Right? We can't live in the past. We can't live in the future. We can live right now. And so make it the best experience that it can be. Right? For you, for everyone else that's around you. And you hope that they're going to want to do the same thing. You know, if you're trying to create a great experience for everyone else and you just create that as an example, hopefully they're going to want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You can't worry about the people that are going to like try to
Carry you down.
afraid,
Yeah.
right? And that means we're done.
I had a thought.
Well,
Ascot Hats.
and cheers to that.
Thank you so much for coming in, man.
No talk.
You know you
Thank
coming
you.
back.
You coming back, baby.
Oh, you coming back.
Yeah, because
I'm gonna be slim and pretty.
you might be slim, but you ain't gonna be pretty.
You know what?
Ascot Hats, baby.
I'm gonna get a blouse and a purse.
Real talk. I'm gonna buy you one.
All right. Well, shall we sign off?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us for another episode of Ascot Hats. We hope you all have enjoyed. And until next time, cheers.
Salud.
Cheers.